very good morning to all our viewers who have joined us today from different parts of Kerala and beyond. It is an absolute pleasure and a privilege to have you all with us in this inaugural session of the video podcast series, which we have termed as KonnectU. Now, many of you would be imagining why this kind of a name has been given for this podcast series. In fact, we are trying to connect you, the distance education learners, from different parts of not only the state of Kerala, but also from wherever you are. You need not be from Kerala alone. You can be in Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, or any part of the country, and you are all part of this effort to connect IGNOU Regional Centre Cochin to the wider mass of people who are interested in some way or the other in distance education. That's why we believe that this kind of a program should be aimed at reaching out not only to the students of IGNOU, but to the wider public as such. And this is also the first effort from IGNOU Regional Centre Cochin to make a program or a series of programs which in fact connect you to this regional center. And having said that, we would of course be focusing on many aspects related to distance education in the coming weeks, but our efforts will not be focused only on distance education. We will be covering areas connected to distance education. We will be covering areas connected to the general public interest. We will also be having sessions on current affairs, and we will of course be having sessions on many emergent issues that need attention from the education community. And as such, this is going to be a highly broad-based program which tries to encapsulate practically all important aspects which needs to be discussed in such a forum. And most fittingly, this program has been inaugurated by Professor Dr. Mohan B. Menon. Sir, of course, needs no introduction to the educational community in this country. Sir has been the former Director and Chief of UNESCO Educational Program for Palestine. Sir has been the former Chairman of the National Open School, now renamed as the National Institute of Open Schooling. Sir has been the Director of the School of Education of IGNOU, and he has also been a team leader associated with the Commonwealth of Learning Canada. So the number of hats that Sir has worn in his highly illustrious career is second to none and superior to most others. So we are indeed very fortunate that we have a luminary such as Professor Dr. Mohan B. Menon to inaugurate this podcast series. Sir, welcome to this program.
Thank you.
And in fact, today, as the inaugural session, we are going to talk about how we can actually reach the distant learner. The person who is at a distance, who is in fact prosecuting studies as part of a distance education program, he will have several questions, he will have several issues to address, and he or even the general public may have several questions with regard to the validity and the effectiveness of distance education. And I feel, sir, you are the best person to in fact talk about all these various aspects that confront the general public.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rajesh, and I would first of all like to congratulate you for initiating such a broadcast program, which is vital to any distance education student and all other students also. And also thank you for inviting me in the first session itself. Thanks.
It is our pleasure, sir, as always. Sir, let's begin the proceedings for the day. Very often when we talk about distance education, the first thing that we hear from all distance education institutions is about student support services. Now, student support services in a conventional sense is quite different from what we have in distance education. How would you exactly explain what student support service in distance education is?
See, distance education, as all of us know, that the student is at a distance from the institution. which actually creates a lot of difficulties for the students. They are isolated wherever they are, at the place of work or at the place of stay, and it's important that they don't have that sort of an isolation, and the support comes off and down to them, so they feel very confident in continuing with the studies that they have taken up with the university. Yes, student support services are not services, we may not call, but student support is expected to be given in a face-to-face situation also, and that happens in the colleges and universities in a campus-based programs. But they're all available, and they come to the institution every day or very often, and that takes care of it. But in distance education, student support system is very, very vital. Because anything related to the program, they have registered after seeing a advertisement in the notification in the newspaper or elsewhere or online, and then they register. Then they are waiting for the responses to come from the institution, maybe the headquarters or maybe at the regional center. As such, in student support, there are two aspects to that. One is all the administrative support that the student should get, where to come, where to pay the fees, and all the details of the program, how they are going to study, and all these details in the beginning, so that everybody is sort of at the same wavelength. That yes, we know that this is how things will move on. So that's very important. But more important, or equally important, is that the academic support they will have to receive from day one of their registering with the university to the end of the program, when they take the examination, and of course further with the results and certification and such things. And this academic support is vital. And basically there are different types of academic support that a distance education institution will give, based on how the learning takes place in the students. It is based on certain psychological theories, learning theories, because many of us are all learners. There is what is aspect of self-learning. Self-learning is you can interact with a material, whether it may be a book or course material, or interact with the technology, the online things or offline or online that is provided to them, and then learn from there. So this is important, and that's vital, very, very important, because that almost like replaces the lectures and that is provided in the universities in a face-to-face program. That is number one. But it is not just self-learning, but then you have to interact. If interaction or learner engagement, student engagement with others, and also with the tutors or the facilitators becomes very important. And that is provided through, initially when technology was not available, it happened only in the study centers. And IGNOU, as we know, that calls it as academic counseling, that has to happen. And weekends or the students can go to the nearest regional study center and get the support. They can meet their own peers, the colleagues, and teachers, as well as their own students, other students who have registered with it. That's equally important because of two reasons. Not just from the learning point of view, but also a social interaction point of view. You see, in distance education, they are socially, in a campus, students are all socially connected. There are a lot of things happens within the campus, outside the classroom. But for the distance education, when they go to the study center also, they interact with the students, maybe over a cup of tea and all these, and then they engage on many things, and then and what is happening in the classroom, their doubts with regard to what they read can be discussed with the counselor. So that is the second aspect of, and third, of course, related to assessment. You have to, whatever you have learned, it is assessed through assignments, or finally, of course, the examination also. So, so their assignment becomes, from learning point of view, it becomes valuable when there is a feedback given to them. So, because one of the strong learning theory is that reinforcement helps students to learn better. So if you have learned something, you have answered a take assignment, and when this response goes to them, then only they will say, "Oh, I got this grade," and there is some comments also which says that I have done okay. But if there is some problems, then that is corrected also. If that is the way it goes, then assessment helps not only in the evaluating as part of the internal assessment, the formative evaluation as we call it in education, and also their own learning. And of course, then last the terminal final examination, whatever percentage you have kept for internal and final examination is taken also, which is the second part of the assessment evaluation. That's how student support services becomes the academic support that provides, and it becomes very important.
Thank you, sir. In fact, you have given a very comprehensive view of what student support should ideally look like in distance education. But over a period of time, we have seen that there is a kind of convergence between the traditional forms of education and distance education. And especially after the COVID period, you would definitely agree with me when I say that COVID was in fact a kind of path breaker as far as traditional as well as distance education was concerned. So how do you actually see this convergence working out in the real world?
Actually, COVID was very destructive in many ways, but I always believe that it gave an opportunity for taking up modes of learning which are different. Not only in distance education. Distance education, in fact, was doing it even earlier, if you look at. But generally the learners did not see that as an important aspect of learning, like using the online resources or interacting online or even using social media and such things for educational purposes. I would say that for distance education and open universities and all, it became an opportunity to improve their credibility and image in the society. Because I know, early stages, and I was with the Open University. There are a lot of people you have to go and convince them that whatever that you are doing in the face-to-face, we have an answer to that in the distance mode also. But people believe, oh, they don't come to the class, they don't attend classes and all that. Still, how can they say that it is? Yes, it is true that maybe certain professional areas it may be a little difficult to do that. But even where skills are involved, even science or other, there are ways of supporting that. But when the technology became, what can I say, not important, but became inevitable in COVID, even the regular colleges and universities changed. They were at a loss actually. In fact, I remember that when the COVID happened, many of the colleges approached me in Cochin itself and said that, and teachers were, interestingly, teachers were less prepared to deal with that situation. Students were happier about it, because the reason is that this happened in 2020. If you remember that 6 years from, they were already familiar with the whole use of technology, online and digital learning, and all types of using digital resources. So they were happy. In fact, they were happy to be at home, and teachers had to be oriented, trained to take care of that. But it made a big difference. It became an opportunity for convergence you talked about. It became an opportunity for distance education coming closer to the face-to-face. In fact, the face-to-face campus educational system and people in that system started appreciating this more, and that is well reflected in the national education policy. If you remember the dual mode and the mode that you can learn from both the modes, the start of MOOC and such things, initiation at that time, all happened because of that. And so the distance education got better credibility. That's what I would say.
Exactly, sir. And you have put it very correctly. There is no doubt that the kind of credibility that distance education attained after this COVID period was phenomenal, not only in India but throughout the world.
Yes.
And you also made a very clear reference to the national education policy or the new education policy 2020 that we talk about. So, the new education policy is also path-breaking in many ways. And one of the areas that the new education policy actually emphasizes upon is the use of technology.
Yes.
Now, see, when we talk about technology per se, technology can be right from the classroom board, which we all are used to in our childhood days, to the higher end technology involving AI and things like that.
Right.
Now, can you just explain the direction in which this technology assimilation is taking place in distance education currently?
Yeah. See, you referred to the national education policy. I remember reading the draft of national education policy before it came. I mean, it was available to the people to interact in 2019 onwards. And that draft did not have that much of emphasis on distance education. Technology, yes, they talked about technology. But the technology and its use for in the manner that we are talking about in student support and all this was not emphasized to that extent. But then the COVID came, and then of course those who formulated the policy, they also realized that now the way that people were going into online interaction, classes were run and then questions were, I mean, the interaction happened online, real time. I'm talking about the real time, and chats also, of course. That they got this has better, more important place in education. So in the NEP that finally came out had emphasized this more, that this has happened. Now coming to your question, that use of technology in distance education. The earlier I talked about that the learner support was mainly very minimum technology and sorry, and also the use of study center as the main focus. We have to go there and all. When the online thing came, one of course is the technology where it can be available without interaction, like something which is television or which is a video program and all were used earlier also. But here now it became a possibility of interaction. And interaction, there are two levels of interaction. That COVID time, if you remember, there were in Kerala in school education. I remember this Victor channel in Trivandrum. They came out with programs, and the students in the schools were listening to that. This is a more or less a vertical type of interaction. It happened probably in IGNOU also from Delhi. Later, of course, maybe from regional centers. But these are all more vertical type of interaction. Something coming from top, whether top is Delhi or Tirunelveli, is top only for a learner. And then you interact with that. They benefited by that. They could ask questions in that, but there were only limited opportunities for that. There is another possibility which has come, which I don't think has been used well enough. Yes, it was used by some of the schools in the school system. Colleges also use that. Distance education, I'm sure, also would have used it. Is the horizontal type of interaction on the same level. I think learner to learner interaction. Okay.
Maybe peer interaction.
Peer interaction. Yes, I'm talking about peer interaction. Where if there are 50 students in a particular study center or whatever, they are all put into one group for like WhatsApp or whatever other apps are, and then they can interact among themselves, and also with the facilitator, the academic counselor. That possibility came up, and that really was very useful. And they're not only for academic student support and learner engagement with other learners and the academic counselor, but also for administrative things. There are doubts, we heard that this exam is postponed or whatever, or this. Everything happened through that, and they were all in that almost like became a 50 student classroom. an online digital virtual classroom where the students could interact with. That has a lot of potential. I mean, more than what is being done today. That's what I believe. So that is another. And yeah, I think that's how the technology really started. Then, of course, now you are also mentioning about AI. AI still, we are in the beginning stages, I would say. It has, people say that it has its advantages, and they don't know many a time. Every profession, including education and teaching, learning, is going through that challenge. How AI is going to affect you. This, of course, is for, if you talk about the material development in distance education, AI will help you quite a lot here. Now, there was a time that everything has to be structured and written in the same manner. I mean, in one's own, I mean, by the course developers of IGNOU or other distance education organizations. And then that was a very long time-taking effect and effort, and then even changes to be made in that was so difficult. Now, I don't think we should go for that. I was part of course development in IGNOU in the 80s and 90s and all. Those type of efforts, time-consuming, and a lot of people involved in that, and it may not be required. And experts being called, and then meetings are organized, and then sit and decide the syllabus. Many things related to that, because IGNOU always believed that whatever material that comes out should be up to date as well as quality-wise very high. That was a major focus of IGNOU, and that really helped. IGNOU materials were at that time even used by UPSC, IAS examinations and all. So that was the type of credibility IGNOU materials have. So for that it is. But AI, when it comes to student learning, of course questions were there. AI plagiarism will agree. I mean, will be more and all these. There are ways and means of taking care of that. The AI is coming in. We have to introspect and think of what all out of the box solutions that you have to bring in. For example, the type of assignments that you give. What type of assignments? Will it be all knowledge based? I remember in the IGNOU's own distance education program, assignment is seen as also for reinforcing the knowledge part of it when you go through. So just asking what went through this course material can be an assignment. I don't think that can be an assignment today to that manner. It has to be a different type of assignment, and AI may give support for that assignment, but assignment will have to be written. Exactly. So that's one example I gave. We may have to redo things as every profession is now going through that.
Exactly. That is a point very well made, because AI is something that is coming in a big way. Whether we like it or not, it is part of our life, and it will be more so in the years to come. And staying on the aspect of AI itself, one recent initiative that IGNOU is trying to make is that IGNOU is trying to make AI a part of the evaluation process also. That is something which we may soon see.
Yes.
Coming out from IGNOU. And similarly, it is not only IGNOU that is making these changes, but recently I heard there is one university in Bangalore or so, which published its results 10 minutes after the examination was concluded. So that is the kind of revolutionary changes that we are going to see when AI is going to be introduced in full stretch. Now, staying on the topic of evaluation, there is a whole lot of difference between the kind of evaluation that we see in distance education and our traditional institutions. Of course, now after the introduction of NEP, there is a lot of convergence even in this regard. But could you, sir, throw some light on the salient aspects of evaluation that we have in an institution like IGNOU or in distance education as such?
Yeah, as I was referring to earlier when I talked about assessment, evaluation, whether it is distance education or face-to-face, has two aspects. One is the formative evaluation. Formative evaluation, and then it is a summative evaluation that you do at the end. And the purposes of these two are different. So the formative evaluation primarily is for learning, improving one's own learning, the primary purpose. Exactly. But to give seriousness to that, and the learners may not take it very seriously and do that, you keep some value to that. I mean, in assessment, 30%, 40%, in certain cases, 50%. So it takes care of formative evaluation, takes care of both learning, helping to facilitate learning and improve learning, as well as assessment, part of the assessment. Then the final examination, the summative learning, which also need not be final in that sense. I mean, even summative evaluation can also be that done in a 2-3 times, and then a cumulative aspect of a part of that. But IGNOU and other open universities follow a semester, year end or whatever. I mean, that when that course is over, the course end examination. That is with regard to the normal type of courses. Now, there are, I did not touch on, there are so many experiences that you provide in distance education, which are not just based on the material alone. It can be related to practicals, for example, in science courses, or even in non-science, social science also. In education, for example, we used to have an experience called, we used to call it, what is that, extended extended interactive program, 1 week's program that the department,
extended contact
program, extended contact program, where there was an assessment, and out of that assessment, where the students were supposed to come to the venue face to face and do several things, and then certain assessment is done for related to the activities. So that's all like a process assessment in education, we call it as, which is a observation and immediate interviews and oral this thing and all are basis for assessing that, and that is also contribute. That is many a time may not fully face. Yeah, it will help in learning itself, but then it is part of formative, but that also contribute to the summative. That was there. Or in projects, they have to do a course. Throughout the course, you have to work on a project and then get that assessment. Basically, I would say that the in principle, the nature of an assessment or what assessment should be, there should not be a difference between face-to-face and distance. But the mode being different, then of course you can go into other ways of doing it, including use of AI, use it for assessment, actual assessment. See, AI has we were doing it even earlier. I mean, like multiple choice questions. You don't need an AI to do that. You can have a software which will assess immediately, and not only assess. I remember in one of the courses we used it in the earlier days. I don't know whether IGNOU is using it now. They will, if there are 4 questions, 4 alternative answers to a question, the computer will assess and say, oh, whether you are right or wrong, and why you are right, and why you are wrong in each of the wrong answers.
Exactly.
Can you? You understand that? So there's an explanation for, because all wrong mistakes need not be of the same type of mistake. Can be different mistakes. This was done, and of course it takes. Today it may be very easy to develop such questions, and because AI can help you in that. But then at that time there was no AI, so we had to each wrong answer we had to say what is the wrongness of that answer, and that will come. If A is ticked, then which is right? Fine. But why you are right? So B is ticked. Then he said you are wrong because you thought it is like that, but the concept is not like this. That sort of thing, and which really helps not only in assessing, for assessment purpose, but also it helps in learning. Even while, because in multiple choice, one major issue is that chance. By chance, you pick the right answer. That can happen, and we don't normally in academic achievement testing, we don't go for minus mark. Exactly, isn't it? Whether if it's right or wrong is that. So that is how it used to be done. But in AI has made it now. Even in the essay type of questions, AI can now determine the content can be analyzed by AI and come out with a value.
Exactly.
That's what probably you're referring to, and it is possible. I think it should be more used so that evaluation becomes faster and the results can come very
In
fast.
fact, staying on this topic of AI-based evaluation, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Mohan B, she is very particular about introducing this AI-based evaluation and in a very faultless manner. Even for the aspect of having the essay-based or subjective answers being evaluated by AI. And that is that when it comes through, it will be a breakthrough, especially in the distance educated field where you are dealing with huge masses.
Yeah.
It's not like the traditional system where you have a classroom of 30 or 40 students. Here you are talking about per course, you will be having, say, 10,000 students being evaluated, 20,000, or even more in many cases. So when it comes through, that will be a major breakthrough, I feel.
No, I think when I said essay type, in fact, that's what I meant.
Yes.
The subjective type of answers. Now, whatever be the number, AI can do it in seconds, not seconds, minutes. I don't know, maybe seconds. That fast it can do. The data that it can deal with at a time is enormous. We used this technology, or rather this principle, in plagiarism. When you are putting this thing, and you can immediately compare and say that whether how much is taken out. See, you can have a software or whatever, or I don't know, I mean, not even software, but you can have a standard answer that you are expecting, and or AI may dig out the standard answer. In AI's case, it will go into that. Yes, I think it should be possible. Here, the difficulty when IGNOU takes it up in a large scale is only that it should have its credibility. IGNOU, you see, it is not enough that we are doing the right thing, but we should also be seen as doing the right thing.
That's true.
That is the only thing it is involved in this. Otherwise, AI can do it. Maybe one should start in a small way and then go into larger courses. Yes, it's a good initiative. Yes.
That's an important point that you have made, sir. And in fact, going just beyond the topics that we have just referred to, another important issue is a local issue. When it comes to Kerala, we have seen that distance education institutions have proliferated over time. And this proliferation has created its own advantage, but definitely its own disadvantages as well. As a top-notch academician from the distance education field who has dealt with all these issues over several years, how do you see the present status of distance education in Kerala?
See, distance education in Kerala, if you look at, if you have to also see the history of it. It started long back in Kerala, maybe some 30 years, 40 years back, distance education came up. And it was, at that time, it was mainly the lessons and also they didn't even call it contact program, they call it tuition or whatever. So this was going on. There was some element of seriousness was there in doing it. But the lessons they were doing were not very well written lessons many a time. Not because that the people who wrote it were not good experts or they were not good professors. They were, but when it was during IGNOU's time that self-learning material became important. The open universities in Kerala, not Kerala, in India, at that time Kerala did not have an open university, only recently it came up. Changed accordingly, and IGNOU supported them to change it also. Like later the Open University in Karnataka came up, several other Open Universities. And the material self-learning was emphasized. Unfortunately, that did not happen in the distance education institutions. They were all in the face-to-face. They were part of the dual mode system of face-to-face as well as the distance. So their quality of the materials came down considerably. And the learner support that was given with the tutorials were also very minimum and number-wise. Assignments were given, but they never used it for assessment purposes. So people lost the. I'm not telling everywhere it was like that. In Kerala also, there were people who were doing. So this gave a bad name to, but it survived and flourished because it was generating a lot of money. I remember that in one of the universities in Kerala, when I was interacting, I said, you are charging very low fees to the students who are gaining more out of what you are doing. They are the face-to-face people. Very minimum tuition fee. You charge lot of money to the distance education people, and you give very less. It's real paradox. That was happening, and then it got a bad name. And UGC also came out in a big way and said that in Kerala, some of the distance education institutions were stopped and then restarted. Then, of course, the SN University came up as an open university. I don't know much about what's happening there. But the situation today is that is the negative part of it. It's the positive part that has happened after the national education policy came up and said, as I was referring to earlier, that you can have a dual mode, you can have both distance education and this. Now, I think UGC has clearly mentioned even colleges can have also a dual mode. They are not meaning dual mode like a distance education, I hope. It is not that you reinvent, or rather the distance education institutes again in colleges. That will be, if they do that, then it will be a real disaster. That was only happening in the universities. Now it will happen in the colleges also. And many of the colleges are large colleges in Kerala, as you know. So they may say, oh, okay, we will have a distance education wing also. I'm sure they will not get approval for such a proposal. What they're really meaning is that dual mode you can have because you can have online classes, and you can use online as well as this, and then you can add accrue credits of both. That is a positive thing, and in that I personally believe that IGNOU can make a big role, has a big role in it.
Exactly. One of the aspects that we were discussing earlier is the aspect of micro credentials.
Yes.
And this aspect of micro credentials definitely goes into what you were just discussing now. And how important is micro credentials in the present society? And second is, how can an institution like IGNOU play a major role in providing micro credentials to the larger community?
Right. Students? I think that is what I was really meaning when I said IGNOU has a major role. IGNOU's courses today are only course-based credits that is given, right? Not program-based, only course-wise. You have you give 6 credits or 4 credits, or as the case may be. You may have to go further down to single credit offering from them. IGNOU can do it very easily because IGNOU also already has the materials.
Exactly.
Okay, it may have to be
reinvented
a little bit, redone in the sense that each one will have to become a module, a self-contained, self-supporting sort of a module. Because a block, as we call it in IGNOU, even now I hope it's called block.
It is called
block. It can be one. Normally, it is 1 credit.
Exactly.
That 1 credit block has to be self-supporting. That means it cannot depend on another block information. So it has to be on its own. So if you can slightly tweak that and make it correct that, edit that, you can do that. And additional support you can online, whatever that is given. So that becomes one micro credential, 1 credit one can access for anybody in the system. Not even if I would like to do something related to like old age issues and something, you have got your health program, and I would like to do 1 block of that, and I am interested to get a certificate, if at all. So that's possible, and a credit for that. So it has to be formal credit-based micro. That's what is micro credential all about, and it is important for a college. Now, college actually can use it. The student can add 1 from there. So if they have to do, let us say, 120 credits in their program, 1 credit they can take from here, 1 credit. See, colleges are facing another issue now with the 4-year undergraduate program in Kerala. And everywhere it has come up. And their flexibility is given.
Yes.
NIP has said that you can, if you want to take this course, you can take music along with philosophy or chemistry, all we can take. On theoretically, it all is very good. I mean, very bright ideas. But how are you going to practically do that? How will a college do that? They are actually really in a difficult situation today. That is one issue. Second issue is that in Kerala colleges, especially, the enrollment is coming down.
That's very true.
Now, I was in a college nearby, and I was told that we have only 7 students in our physics program. So how are we going to? And and they have become autonomous also.
Very.
And they are aided. In Kerala is aided colleges. Aided colleges can sit happily because they will get their salary from the government, and they can do, even if one student is there, they will probably get their salary. But what about self-finance colleges? They have to manage that program with the revenue coming out of that. They may have to additional money. They don't have to make money out of it, but they cannot go on loss.
Exactly.
Also. Now, there again, micro-credential becomes very important.
That's true.
They can have small courses. They can even give a support program.
Exactly.
Can have some sort of an arrangement with IGNOU.
Sure.
If possible. And then they will run a program face-to-face also there.
Yes.
With the online support coming from IGNOU.
Yes.
And have and they are not only their students, even others who are interested.
Yes.
And now Tally as an area. So many are interested to learn Tally. If they can have as a micro-credential or whatever, I just gave an example. There are many such programs, like bonsai.
That's
Just an
exactly.
Bonsai is now, interestingly, a course in the 4-year undergraduate program.
Very
in botany, they are learning that bonsai as a. Now, if bonsai and it's how that it can be managed and developed and all these, many people, even in the house, from
several housewives
public,
also.
public will be interested in coming, they can make money out of it after
Definitely.
learning it. So all such things, so they can even get the revenue from there and manage the other things. So I think IGNOU really has a important role and opportunity to interact with the face-to-face institutions.
Sir, very true. And I feel there are last couple of 2 issues that I would like to put forth to you. One is the paradox that we are just talking about. That in Kerala, distance education institutions like IGNOU, for the same programs where regular colleges are getting 5 or 7 students, here we are getting hundreds of students. And this is a major paradox that we have in Kerala. How do you evaluate this paradox?
No, the reason is this, again, that we have to come to the present generation. See, in our generation, what happened, you learn first, get your degree and all, then find a job.
Exactly.
That's what most of us have done in that generation before 2000, if you look at. Very few would have been working. And now, today's generation is much more, they would like to do not 2, maybe if possible 3 things at a time and finish off. They'll go into a work. They want to be free. They don't want to depend on, they want to make money out of that. They also want to continue studies.
Yes.
Those people can be attracted to IGNOU programs very easily.
Yes.
Earlier also, larger number was coming because of those who dropped out of the system.
Very right. Very right.
IGNOU's enrollment was mainly those who dropped out of it. That's why many a time when you see the statistics, it will be above 25 students. But now you will find even college-going students not wanting to go to a college and want to enroll with IGNOU and work. That's a clear explanation why they don't want to go into, and they may say even waste my time in the face-to-face. I wouldn't say it is wasting, but why they don't have time to spare for that.
Exactly.
I think that personally I feel that's the main reason.
Exactly. That is very, very important, because the new generation has so much to do in the limited time they have. And they would definitely like to make maximum use of the time they have. And the final issue that I would like to raise in in fact, is the issue of credibility. Often, when you go into the general public, at least some people raise the issue of credibility, especially with regard to skill-based programs. That maybe in distance education you do not have the mechanisms to cater to a skill-based programs. What would your reply as an expert in the field be to such people?
See, skill development, of course, IGNOU has been always depending on the existing institutions or workplaces, like in nursing, you use the hospitals for skill development. So that has been happening, and whatever that if a full-time program, nursing program, or any other skill-based program gets, they get it from during that attachment or that was being taken care of. And I am sure IGNOU would have produced a large number of BSc nursing people till today, and they might be doing well also. So that is there. Today that can be strengthened further in two ways. One is that we talked about AI and how technology can really help in giving skills.
Exactly.
You know, I don't know why you can have your simulators or where several things that you will have to actually go and do in the class, in the work situation, you can do in a simulated situation. So that possibility, at least in certain courses where it's very, very important that skill, you know, I think distance education still can deal with that.
Exactly.
That provision is there. And yeah, this is one thing. And third, now because of the technology available, even when these students are in the work situation, like you want a student to be attached, a IGNOU or a distance education student to be attached to a work place, you can still have interaction with them on a regular basis. You can have every weekend, you can have an online discussion with them. What did you study? And now, what was that? How is it related to what you learned? You know, such things, which properly systematically, not randomly asked. I mean, some questions are literally asking, but it is, it's prepared for that purpose. So that also will strengthen. So I really don't think that credibility issue will be, especially when you are will be there, especially when you are dealing with Gen Zs and the new generation.
Exactly.
This is what I feel. This problem may be there more with older students. They may not be able to get acclimatized to the new technologies.
Yes. You have very correctly put it, sir. In fact, I would just like to give you one example, which maybe it illustrates the situation quite correctly.
Yeah.
We have this program. We had this program named Postgraduate Diploma in Clinical Cardiology, which is a high-end program where you deal with cardiologists or the persons dealing with the cardiology field. And IGNOU, in fact, could successfully run this postgraduate diploma program in a simulated environment where the doctors were put in a regular cardiology related department, and they would be there throughout the year performing all the activities which a regular cardiologist did. And recently, you would be happy to know that even the government of India has accepted this program as a valid program for those dealing with the cardiology sector. So that is just one example. There are hundreds of other examples which we could talk about. So we have been having a very long discussion, discussion that in fact covered a large number of issue areas. And in fact, this will be very, very beneficial for not only those who are directly pursuing a distance education program, but even the general public would in fact come in and maybe at a later stage pursue something related to distance education. So it has been wonderful interacting with you. As always, it is always a learning experience when we interact with you. And at a personal level also, I have been greatly benefited from this discussion, sir. And I'm hopeful that in the near future, we'll be able to have yet another discussion with you on a related topic or another topic which may not be directly related to distance education also, because you are a reservoir of knowledge not only in distance education but also various other fields. Thank you, sir, for this wonderful
opportunity. I should also thank you very much, and you use the word reservoir of knowledge. You see, such occasions also helps me to increase that, put more knowledge into that reservoir. It's not only that I provide something because of my experience and all this, which of course it is important, but I also learn from that. So many of the things, now you talked about cardiology, that this is what you are doing. I did not know really, that now I have that information. I know that is possible to do such a thing, but then specific examples and what you are doing, new things you are doing, I learned from such occasions. So any time, at any age, one can learn. That is what that is what, yeah, that's why many people even online may like to take the courses. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It has been a pleasure interacting with you, and we'll meet you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
And our viewers, it has been a pleasure interacting with each and every one of you. And please send in your comments and your outlook regarding this program, where we lack, what we need to improve, and also if you find anything positive regarding our program, please do write in, and the email addresses on which you need to contact us will be displayed as a scroll. Thank you, one and all, and we will meet you soon with another episode.